You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here's your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
Well, good morning. I am Glenn the Geek from Ocala, Florida.
And I'm Kat Gunther from White Lake, Michigan, and you are listening to the Quarter Horse Podcast on Horses in the Morning for September 17th, episode 3521. Good morning, Horse World.
You're listening to the Quarter Horse Podcast, where we explore the versatility of the world's most popular breed of horse, the American Quarter Horse.
Well, this is my last Quarter Horse episode. Ashley will be back. Your usual co-host will be back next month. And I bet you're really happy to have her back, too.
We've had fun with you, though. I've enjoyed
recording with you. Fill-in for Ashley. But her baby's good, and she's all excited to get back, and she'll be starting in the beginning of October. So she'll be here for the next episode. It does seem like forever since she's been out.
It seems like a long time, but I've seen pictures of her baby on Facebook and stuff. So cute.
Yes, and she's having a blast. She's just having a blast. So I'm very excited for her. But what's coming up on today's show?
So today we're going to be talking about Showmanship, which is a class that quarter horses show at like the Quarter Horse Congress, Quarter Horse World Show. It's basically a class where the competitor goes with their horse on the ground. And the way I like to think of it is like dancing with horses. So the two complete various tasks like turning, trotting, stopping, backing up. So it's really a class that shows the connection between horse and rider on the ground.
And you did this one?
I did for many years. It was one of my favorite classes, but it definitely gets you out of breath. You're running a lot. So think about you're standing and then all of a sudden you sprint and then you have to stop and like pivot and then run again. It's very physically demanding, but it's very pretty to watch when you see a horse and rider so in sync.
And so it's completely subjectively judged?
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into judging it. It's, how clean do you do the maneuvers? Does the horse keep their foot down when you're pivoting? Do you look presentable? Because showmanship, when you think about even the name, it's all about how you present you and your horse. So you want your horse clean.
The fancy bedazzled shirts and everything?
Yes. That's why I loved it too, because, I buy and sell these clothes to this day, but that was one of my favorite things is the outfits are just beautiful. Like the jackets are really works of art usually. So you're thinking of the right class.
Okay. You mentioned Quarter Horse Congress. That's coming up.
That is coming up. I'm hoping I can sneak down there for a couple days and maybe even see the showmanship classes. Because like I said, it was my favorite class. So I'm very excited to talk about it today.
So for the non-quarter horse people that are tuning in today, kind of describe Congress because it's indescribable.
Oh my gosh. It's the world's largest single breed horse show. It is every equestrian's dream, in my opinion, because you go there and there are just horses everywhere. There's beautiful trailers everywhere, show clothes, really good food. The cinnamon rolls from the sweet shop are my addiction. It's just a wonderful time. And it's October, so it's kind of crisp out.
And this is in Ohio, in Columbus.
It's in Ohio. Yep. For 3 or 4 weeks, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's 4.
They've moved it up though, because it used to start beginning of October and then end at the end of October, but now it starts end of September, I believe.
It always when we went for the first time, my wife and I went just to see it. Yeah, I mean, it's just something else. But the place is huge too. It's the same place they do Equine Affair actually, but they fill it, whereas Equine Affair probably half fills it. But the one thing that stuck out to me was we had our tack shop then when the first time we went to see this, and you had to walk through rods to get anywhere pretty much, which is the tack shop, the enormous tack shop at Congress. And I just went, wow, they have it made here, because everybody walks through their store wherever they go. And just the line at rods was just incredible.
Yeah. It's easy to get lost in there because they have it up front right before you enter the rest of the one shopping complex. So
Yeah.
you definitely get lost in rods for a minute.
And people spend money. And then the other thing, a lot of the people competing camp there. And I have never seen so many big horse trailers in my life. I mean, just huge.
Those
ones.
are some of my best memories. We used to have a trailer and we camped there, and we were right by the train tracks. But at Congress, it's so crowded. There's so many people showing. You have to practice in the middle of the night. So I would get up at like 3 a.m. to go do showmanship practice. So I'd have
Really?
the arena.
Yeah.
Yep. You have to get up in the middle of the night usually, and then go out there and practice when the arenas are more quiet. And I just remember at like 2:30 every morning, this train would go by, and that was my sign to get up and go practice.
And for some reason, they always blow the horn right by a fairground.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
like-
yeah.
it's
Oh yeah, because
like
it's at a
requirement.
fairground. Yeah, because it's at the Ohio Expo like fairgrounds. So you're right by that train track, and yeah, we were camping right near there. But it's really an experience, even if you're not a horse person, which obviously the listeners here are horse people, but even non-horse people that have gone with me down there are like, this is amazing.
That's coming up. And as you said, thousands of horses, tens of thousands of people attend that every year.
Yeah.
And
Lots of people. The classes, back in my day, I used to show like 4 or 5 years ago now. But I remember one of the showmanship classes I was in down there was like 200 people or near 200 people in the youth, which is, youth 18 and under. So it just was like, it was crazy.
How do you judge that when there's 200 people?
I believe that was only in the 15 to 18 too, because they break down the youth into different like age categories. So there's like the 12 to 14, 15 to 18. And it was a lot. You had to come back and run the pattern multiple times because they do cuts. So it was definitely, you felt a lot of pressure, but it's an experience like no other.
Who's coming up on today's show? Who do we have talking about it?
So today we have Shannon Walker. So she's a trainer that I used to look up to a lot back in the day. She's had some really incredible exhibitors win world shows, Congress. And then we also have Sydney Ramirez, who I am so excited to talk to her as well, because she was my idol. I kid you not. She won the world show with her horse Pip. And that video is on YouTube. If you look it up, I'll have to get the exact title so people can look it up. But her showmanship pattern was the epitome of dancing with horses. And I always watched it and studied it and loved it. And she is just such a sweet person. And I can't wait to just chat with her.
You're geeking out.
I'm geeking out. I can't tell you. She was my idol when I showed. Like, I would study her pattern. And we ended up at the same barn maybe 3 or 4 years ago, like right towards the end of when I stopped showing. And she was training with the same trainer at the time. So I got to like get to know her. And when I first met her, I remember I was geeking out because I'm like, oh my God, I get to meet Sydney. Are you kidding? Are you joking? So no, she definitely helped shape my love for showmanship.
Well, before we get to Shannon, I wanted to ask you, the day we were at Quarter Horse Congress, they had the really, really fat horses in there with small feet, and they were walking them around doing stuff. This is not that class.
Oh, heck no. This is
Okay.
not that class. In
Okay.
showmanship, you want the horse to be very athletic, very correctly built, very at a healthy weight with good feet. Like that's part of what they're being judged on is their condition. So this is not that class. Let's start off our showmanship talk with countless AQHA World Championship coaching trainer and owner of Show Horses by Shannon, Shannon Walker. Well, Shannon, thank you for joining us. I would first like to start off with, okay, so what do you think makes quarter horses good for the showmanship?
So the best thing about quarter horses for the showmanship for me is I personally think they're beautiful animals. They're built well, they halter well, and most of the all-around horses are talented enough, whether they do the ranch or they do the English or the Western pleasure, they can do about any event and still be talented enough to do the showmanship.
Yeah, that's very true. And what do you think about them conformationally makes them able to do the maneuvers and able to like hit the marks?
So most of the quarter horses were originally bred for working horses. And so they're extremely agile in the fact they can cross their front feet over. They can move from a stop fairly quickly. They can, just things like that, the way they were bred originally and what they were bred for, I think is what makes them so talented for the showmanship.
For sure. And I've seen so many big horses be able to do showmanship, so many tiny ones. Like it's such a range that are able to do it so beautifully. It's really dancing with horses. That's how I like to think about it.
There's Yes, moving. I think the rule book even says moving in concert with your horse.
Okay, so that's what judges are looking for mostly when they're judging a showmanship class.
Yes, exactly. And I do think, just like what you're saying, that in that class in particular, you're going to see the widest range of horses that can handle doing that class. I have a 17 hand thoroughbred mare that is exceptional at the showmanship. She's been in the top 5 at the World Show and the Congress.
That's amazing. Wow. And for people who might not know that much about showmanship, how would you explain it to someone who maybe has just like seen a class but has never really done it?
I think the best way to describe it is your ability to get your horse to work with you on the ground. It's a groundwork class. And groundwork with your horse is one of the best ways to get your animal to trust you.
So if somebody, let's say they have a horse in their yard that they're like, okay, like they have their quarter horse, they think it could maybe do the showmanship. What are some tips that you would give them to kind of start the basics of that foundation for showmanship classes?
So I am a big believer in them being light in their face. So I like to tell people to start by just teaching them to give to the chain or rope, whatever, some people work with just a clip if they're super touchy in their face, but getting them to be free in their face and their neck and their shoulders is key to getting started. Because that once you get that loosened up and they're soft to all of that, then it makes it easier to move every piece of their body from there, because all of their stability and guidance comes in their neck and their head.
That makes a lot of sense. Have you ever done showmanship with a horse of like a different breed? Like I have Gypsy Vanners, and I know it's way different than showing quarter horses in that class.
So you're going to laugh, but yes, I had a client that had Gypsy Vanners that he wanted broke. So I have ridden and done showmanship with those. And I also had a lady that had a draft horse that they couldn't get. And it wasn't necessarily about teaching it the showmanship. This is just like what I'm saying. He was great to ride, but was terrible on the ground. And she wanted to know if I could just, this was, back when I first started training and kind of would ride whatever somebody would bring me, And so I worked with that draft horse on showmanship. And once I got him taught the showmanship and he trusted me on the ground, she never had issues with him again. So yeah, I've kind of worked with a little bit of everything. And that's the nice part, is that showmanship is such a good basis for anyone. I love it when like the 4-H kids get good at it and stuff like that, because teaching your horse to trust you on the ground is like 95% of getting them started in anything that they do. It's just like when you ride, you do groundwork first.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, work from the ground up. I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha. So I want to know, do you have any funny stories of showmanship? There was one class I fell, like face planted. I got kicked in the back of the leg. I was in my horse's space. Do you have any funny stories of like coaching it? One of your clients?
So, when we first start breaking these, I think the funniest stuff that I can tell you is when we first started breaking multiple horses. 2 funny stories that just come to the top of my head is the mare that Mallory won the World Show with. She was a Batman filly. And when I first started her, they have pictures of her and I just standing in the arena and me pulling on one end of the shank and her pulling on the other. And we would just have standoffs for like 20 minutes where she just wouldn't give. She was just like, nope, I'm not doing this class. You're not going to make me.
Yeah, that's how my show horse was. He was sassy like that.
Yeah. And she would just stand there. And I was like, I told her, I said, Mallory, I don't know if I can get this one broke. Like, she's like a dairy cow.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny, because we would call Teddy the land whale, because he would do that same thing where they just put all their weight in the chain, and it was literally, you felt like you went to the gym after.
That's exactly how she was. And then turned around and was so good at it that she won the amateur showmanship at the World Show. So it's just, you just never know. And then the other one that pops into my head, poor Hannah, she's going to love me for throwing her under the bus on this, but, and I love to tell this story, but I was standing at the clear other end of our barn, and, down our alleyways, you can see into the indoor arena through the door to the arena. Mm-hmm. And she first started a mare that we have here, and it was same deal. It wouldn't give to the chain, but the problem with her is she would just take off and run because she knew she could get away from you. Oh. And Hannah is one determined horse trainer. I will tell you that, because she did it and got away one time. And after that, Hannah's like, not going to happen again. And literally, I look over and Hannah goes skiing on the end of a lunge line by the arena door with this mare just like dragging her. And she's like, no.
Oh my god.
I was like, oh no, I should go help her. And I stood there for a second and like literally like 2 minutes later, she goes skiing across the doorway the next way. And that mare's just running as hard as she can. Hannah's like, I'm not letting go.
That's some determination. That's a new sport, lunge line skiing, trying to teach showmanship.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really funny because after we got that mare broke, she's won so much in the showmanship. She's a multiple superior, like just very cool at it now. When she figured it out, she's like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah. Well, like you said, it's kind of like just getting that foundation on the ground. I feel like it just translates so much to the saddle too, for quarter horses, for really any breed, but especially like the all around horses. I've seen that. I've seen some horses go from being kind of iffy to they learn the showmanship, they get that respect, and then I don't know, their attitude almost changes.
Yeah, everything kind of comes with it after that. But it's just, I'm telling you, there's something about the showmanship that just helps people bond with their horse.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You know, you're just right there in their face all the time. You're petting them when they're good. You know, and they understand it. And, you know, most of them, it's kind of funny because I have so many that do this and it's kind of weird, but like you'll pet them and they'll lay their head on you. Like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, just it's a weird thing. And I love to see them do that with their kids because it's just, I can tell they're getting a relationship going.
Oh yeah, and the horses watch your body language. I mean, for people who are listening to this that don't really know showmanship, you do maneuvers and the horse kind of pays attention to what you're doing with your body to get those cues. So I think that's kind of where it incorporates to it's dancing with horses like on the ground.
Yes, exactly.
It's a workout though. I remember times I was dripping sweat running.
Well, I laugh because I was an athletic trainer. That's what I went to college for, actually. And I have had so many people like ask me, like, I work out. I don't understand why I run around for the showmanship and I can't breathe. And I started laughing. I was like, it's because this is going to sound really dumb. But I said, if you went and ran a mile and then came back and did showmanship, you'd be fine. But I said, it's the fact that you just like start from a stop and you go 900 mile an hour for like such a short period of time.
Yeah.
Like you don't have your body warmed up for it. So everybody's like, why is showmanship so hard?
Well, it's like sprinting.
But yeah. Yes. And like that, you know, you go to the horse shows like in Arizona and stuff. I can't show the showmanship anymore. So I just like, I feel terrible when I'm out there like coaching in 100 degrees and they've got their jackets on, you know, getting ready to show the showmanship. And it's so hot. Like there's nothing more physically daunting than the showmanship in what we do.
Oh yeah. I remember one time, I think I was showing at the Youth World in Oklahoma, and I came out and I took my jacket off and I was like, I'm going to pass out. It is too hot.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And even going into the arena for like that 2 minutes doesn't help.
No, it does not. Well, my last question for you is, do you have a favorite quarter horse of all time? Who was he or she, and why is he or she your favorite?
So I probably I've had several, but you know, if I go to the showmanship, I think that I'd have to go to either Crimson Belle or Shirley, who was, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on her name right now, but the mare she won the amateur world with in the showmanship. Mm-hmm. Those two were just incredible. It's on YouTube, and the level 3 amateur showmanship when Mallory and that mare won, that video, I still watch that video from time to time. And I'm just like, I don't know how you could make that any better. Like that mare was off the chain, like wanted to do her job, ears, you know, and broke to the walk and walked like so together, like almost their legs were in time. It was just goosebumpy. And then, you know, the Crimson Belle mare was just so many wins in the showmanship, just so consistent with it. Like she never went in and never did her job. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She always gave you 100%.
All the time, and loved that class.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this. It's been fun.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, hon.
As horse owners, we spend a lot of time on the road. Let US Rider help keep you covered. Our equestrian motor plan offers fast, reliable, nationwide service from our highly trained roadside assistance team. 24/7 coverage for both you and your horse. Membership includes horse trailer servicing, towing, flat tire repair, even on dual wheels, battery assistance, and lockout service on any vehicle in your plan. We also have your equine companions covered with referrals for emergency vet services, farrier referrals, and emergency stabling assistance. Get peace of mind on the road for you and your horse. Join US Rider today.
Next, we will be chatting with Sydney Ramirez, an AQHA World and Congress champion showmanship competitor, not to mention my showmanship idol from back in the day. Okay, Sydney. So the first thing I want to dive into here. So tell me a bit about your love for showmanship as well as quarter horses as a breed.
Yes, Kat. So showmanship, that love came alive whenever I was a young girl. I started out showing in 4-H, and I literally showed every species of animal there was. And and I knew showmanship was something that I had a passion for from the beginning, really mainly because it's an event that you can really work really hard at it and be really successful. And that's why it was something that I just fell in love with. And it mainly became from the best horse that I'll ever own, Kat. She came into our lives when I was only 10 years old, and she was an internet purchase of my mom's. She literally saw this horse on
Craigslist.
Craigslist horse. Those are always the best.
And she had been watching this horse's YouTube video, and there was just something special about this horse and the showmanship. And anyway, and then also my love for showmanship came from just the fact that my parents, they could not afford, a fancy, expensive all-around horse for me. So my mom's like, why don't you just, do 1 or 2 events and be really good at them? So that's the plan we went with whenever I was 10. And anyway, so this horse that my mom found on YouTube, we bought her sight unseen from this lady. Whenever my mom called the lady that was selling this mare, it was just like an old friend, and she was just 100% honest about what the horse was. She had navicular. She was going to take a lot of maintenance, but if showmanship was the event that I wanted to do, then this was the horse for me to get me to wherever I wanted to go, achievement wise. And so anyway, and this horse, it was a black mare, and her name's Pip. And like I said, she will be the best horse that I'll ever own in my life. She was just so talented and just was, an easy horse to just always go show. And anyway, so I started out, so I literally had her for 3 months before I went to the Congress with her. And as we all know, the Congress, that's the biggest single breed horse show in the world. And my trainer at the time, she was like, let's just go see what happens. Because I was eligible for 2 classes at the time, the 11 and under, and also the novice youth 13 and under. So we go up to the Congress, and I actually end up winning both of my classes up there.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That you won that 3 months in or whatever that you've had her?
Yes, I literally had that horse for 3 months, practiced in the yard with her. And my trainer just, had her about a month before the show so we could keep the hair off of her. So she stayed in the barn. And yeah, I literally had the horse 3 months before I went to the Congress and won both of those classes. And then after that, I qualified for the Youth World. And that next year at the Youth World, it was awesome. I made the semifinals. We were so excited about that because that was back in the days when the Youth World was not split between 13 and under and 14 to 18. So you were just competing against everybody. And so I was 12 at the time. And so making the semifinals was awesome. And then, the story just continued with that horse, Kat. It only got better and better with her because I just kept putting a lot of work into it. And I was really, really blessed. A lot of people in the horse community know Ernie Rodina, and I worked for him whenever I was a kid. Because like I said, my parents, I just was from a small family farm. I didn't even have my own barn. I had to keep my show horses boarded at Brent Wright's facility in Ottawa. So to pay off some of my board, I would clean stalls and feed. And anyway, and Ernie, he was managing Brent's barn at the time. And yeah, so I just was up there every day at the barn, working and cleaning and feeding and stuff. And I just got to literally practice with my horse every day. And I think that's, what helped me so much. And then also I was just trained by some of the best as well. I'm so thankful for all the people that I got to learn from, and always will be thankful for that.
And I think you hit on it there, like being able to practice. Because I was telling Glenn, because he's not super familiar with showmanship, that it's very much like dancing with your horse. It's very like you're in sync. your horse reads your body language. You're really dancing with them.
Yes, yes. A lot of people describe it as ballet, if you will. And I think that's a really good way to explain it because it is. It's just so intricate and there's so many little details. And that's what's so interesting about it. And Showmanship too, it's one of those events that, people will think I'm crazy when I say this, but it's an event you can actually practice without a horse sometimes. And to get my run down, I literally would just run around the arena without a horse, just to build strength in my legs and, keep that upper body really still. And yeah, it is. It's just it's so detail oriented, and that's why I love it so much. So
yeah. And I'll always say your world show winning run gives me goosebumps. Like to this day, I remember studying it. And I want to know what was going through your head and just for background for everybody, she won the world show with this run. So it's on YouTube and it has I don't even know how many views, but it's literally perfect showmanship. And I just want to know, like, what was going through your head that entire time?
Well, I definitely wasn't breathing the whole time. And it's just crazy, Kat, to think about it, because whenever I was standing at the cone, I was just so nervous, and I was like, I'm going to go do the best I can. That's what I walked up to the cone. That's what I had in my mind. I was like, I'm just going to go show, my horse to the best of my ability today, and we'll see what happens. Because because Showmanship is so detail oriented. The year before I won, I was in the finals, but we had a bobble in the finals. My mare, I think she was just really tired, and it was in the inspection, and she kind of bobbed her head up. She didn't move any of her feet or anything, but it still was enough of a knock, for me not to, win that year. And so anyway, so the year that I won, I was just focused on just getting a clean run, because just weird freak things can happen, and separate you from winning. And so anyway, but yeah, I was just so nervous, and it was so neat because just that whole year was just really special. I had a great group of judges and I love that Holly Hover, she did the judges, perspective on that video. I really like the way that she broke down that run too on YouTube. And I had my favorite ring steward, actually, that ring steward that was there for my winning run. He was a ring steward that I think I showed to him like since I was like 10 years old. And so that was just really crazy that he was my ring steward that day. But yeah, I wasn't really breathing during that run, and I was just trying to get a clean run. But my horse was great that day, and just like she always was in the show pen for me. So,
and it's so funny too, because I watched that video and my old show horse with a previous owner was standing at the cone. Yes. I just think that's so funny. Like he ended up being my horse many years later, but he's sitting there kind of nipping at her, and I'm like, yeah, that's Teddy. Oh my goodness. So what tips do you have for someone wanting to learn showmanship and or start teaching their horse the basics?
Yes. So showmanship, it really is. It's just all about that horse, really knowing your body movement. And like Pip, I was just so close with that horse, Cat, that, she knew when I was having an off day, or she knew exactly when I was tense, And I guess I just really encourage people, especially starting them. I already started a horse. She's Pip's only baby cat, and I did start her. And she was, granted, she loves to learn too. She's a good horse that will absorb knowledge and everything. But, but just starting her, I was like, I've never trained one before, so I'm going to give it a shot. And it's just all about getting them to move off your body, just respecting, whenever if you're trying to teach them to turn, they need to respect that whenever you walk towards them, they need to be getting, moving, and they just really need to respect your body. And I think showmanship, it's a lot to Pip, something that was so magical about that horse is she didn't like a lot of pressure on the chain, and you can see in my world show video that the chain literally had a drape on it because she was so sensitive, and I think it's all about just, and then too, I think there's some horses that definitely like it, and others that are, some horses I know you kind of have to drag them along and they're just not, it's not their favorite event, but I think it's just a lot of, you got to reward them when they do something right, and that's just, and getting her to learn to set up, it's all about, okay, if you move your foot, good job. And you just want them, you just really got to build foundationally really small. You got to start from nothing. You literally have to start from nothing and build up. And yeah, it's just all about getting that respect, from your body and everything. And then, as I said, showmanship is something that I love so much because you can just work really hard at it and get somewhere. And all of your some of your practices don't even have to be with your horse. Like I said, I would literally just lap around the arena practicing on my run and keeping my upper body still, and yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember doing that too, where like I'd do the pattern, I'd put it out in the aisleway, and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna practice my trot. Because it's I don't even know how you describe the showmanship trot to someone who hasn't done it. You have to be like very still in your upper body, but your legs have to, you can't look too mechanical.
Yes, and some people really get to squatting bad,
Yeah.
And that's just all about, just really training your body, and whenever I did win the world, that was the fittest I'd ever been in my life because I was just running so much in the summer, it was hot and I was just running through, deep dirt too. And it really is. I mean, that's why I compare it to ballet because you're just physically, you're just asking your body to do a lot. And then it's fun because we have the horse involved too, and we got to get them through the pattern as well as ourselves. So
yes, there are a few things in this world as challenging as running in that Oklahoma heat in August with a jacket that weighs like 20 pounds in deep dirt, and you have to smile, look like you're fine.
You're smiling through the pain. Yep.
Yes. Well, I was going to ask who's your favorite quarter horse and why, but you touched on that quite a bit. I'd love to know though, do you have like a funny story from showing showmanship with her or anything about her that you thought was like quirky? I like to know what people's favorite memories with their quarter horses are.
Oh, yes. I have so many, amazing stories about that horse, but obviously hers is just the fact that, we bought her sight unseen, Kat. And then the crazy thing is whenever we bought her, we get her back to Kansas and she's at her house. And it would have been after the Congress, I guess. And she was at home for the winter. And I was putting on her blanket one day, and this is like, we have not owned this horse for very long, so I didn't know. And I was putting her blanket on her, and she reached around and bit me hard.
Oh my goodness.
And because she was just really sassy when you'd put her blankets on, and she didn't do it to really, it was just one of her quirks, and she was always really funny at feeding time too. She would snort like a dragon because she was just very protective over her food. And
me too, same.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah, we all can agree to that one.
And she was just such a funny, quirky horse. But that's what's so, that's why she was so special, Kat, was she did have all these quirks and no one else was going to love that horse as much as I did because I just accepted her for what she was. And and I never fought her on her quirks. Like she would not step over the storm drains in Oklahoma City. She would think those were, the boogeyman down there. And, she was such a quirky horse, but she gave me everything she had always in the show pen. She never faulted on me in the show pen. And, and that's why horses, I think they just have to find the event that they're comfortable doing and they're happy doing. And once they find their job, they'll do anything for you. And that's why, I don't like it when people just give up on a horse, and it's like, find something else for them to do and give them a different job maybe that they'll like better and just find their calling, just like all of us. You just got to find your calling and yeah.
Amen to that. That's exactly right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Sydney. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you, Kat. I was so honored to be on here with you and Glenn.
You can enjoy your favorite equine videos all in one place with Ride TV, the ultimate equine streaming platform. The newly relaunched Ride TV has all the series you love, like Cowgirls and Ridiculous Ranches, plus top-tier training videos and event footage from BailRacing.com and Horse and Rider on Demand. Whether you're ready to relax with your favorite series, binge watch competition footage, or train with a world champion, subscribe to Ride TV today for only $19.99 to see where your ride takes you. Visit ridetvgo.tv to subscribe.
Well, thank you, Kat, for putting this together. It's been fun hanging out with you for a couple of months here.
No problem. Thank you for joining me. I've had a lot of fun.
And you've done a good job of giving us the variety of what quarter horses can do, as you know, the world's most versatile horse, right?
Oh yeah,
Um,
thank you. I appreciate that. That's the thing, is they are the most versatile horse. We see so far that they can do really anything you can put your mind to.
well, you've done a great job with that, and I know Ashley's looking forward to getting back to co-hosting with you next month.
We'll come up with some more good episodes. You wait.
And we'll have a full week of episodes for you here on Horses in the Morning. Jamie and I'll be back tomorrow. We'll have really bad ads at the end of the week. So thanks for being with us.
And thanks so much for tuning into the Quarter Horse podcast on Horses in the Morning. Be sure to like, subscribe, and tell your friends all about the world's favorite breed of horse.